During the early 1700s, small farms were spread all across England and textiles were woven by hand. Over time, this land, once owned and worked by village farmers, had begun to be bought up by large and wealthy landowners.
Good afternoon, sir. May I speak with you for a moment?
Why, of course. What brings you here on this fine day?
I've come to make you an offer that you can't refuse.
Intriguing.
Come meet with me later and I'll tell you more. Thank you for meeting with me today.
I assure you that it's no problem.
Please, have a seat.
So, what did you want to talk to me about? You said you had an offer.
I would like to purchase your land. I believe that I will be able to greatly improve it using some new technology that I have come in contact with.
Sounds good. What's your offer?
I think you'll like the numbers that you see.
I think we have ourselves a deal.
In order to increase production for business, farming methods were improved and new inventions were put into place. Thus began an agricultural revolution. Improvements in farming techniques and in the textile industry were vital in order for business to grow. After purchasing their new land, landowners began to put up enclosures around their land in which they experimented with more productive methods of seeding and harvesting. Among the new inventions made at this time was the seed drill. This tool sowed seeds in rows with specific distances in between. This allowed more seeds to take root and to grow. The enclosure movement forced small farmers into the cities as they now found themselves out of work. Around this time, farmers also began using the process of crop rotation, which restored soil nutrients. Livestock breeders also improved their methods, which increased the weight of their livestock. As the amount of food and supplies increased at this time, the population grew as well. This only created an even greater demand for goods. As farmers were pushed into the city and people were needed more than ever to work in factories to meet demand, Britain found itself at the brink of revolution.
Oh, hey. Didn't see there. Follow me. The other day, this businessman offered me some money. A good amount of money to buy my land. He says he can restore it, make it better. And now, my farm isn't holding up too well, and the offer was just too good to pass up. I'll be sad to leave, but I'll miss my chickens most of all. Goodbye, my friends. And now I'm off to the city for more job opportunities. And maybe I'll even find a job in a factory.
Farmers that were bought out by wealthy landowners were forced into the city and now needed to find work. The rapid flow of people into the cities is known as urbanization. An increasing amount of factories provided the necessary jobs for the incoming population. Sadly, getting a job so easily was not all good. Because factory owners could hire and replace workers so easily, they felt no need to improve the working conditions. People were so desperate for work because they needed more money to get off the streets that they would withstand any conditions. Because England cities grew so fast, they had no development plans or sanitary and building codes. Without adequate housing, people were forced to live on the streets. Disease spread quickly among people living on the dirty and unpaved roads. One British government study in 1842 showed the average lifespan as 17 years for the working class and 38 years in a nearby rural area. On top of this, there was no proper education for children who ended up as factory workers. Without government aid, people found it hard to find good work. They knew how easily someone else could take their place. This led to unsanitary, poorly managed, and congested work facilities. People, especially women and children, worked for long hours with very low pay. Machinery and air quality also posed as health risks. At any time, a boiler might explode or a drive belt could catch a limb. On top of this, no government aid was provided to help the injured. Most dangerous of all were the conditions in the coal mines. Frequent accidents, the dampness, and the coal dust decreased the lifespan by almost 10 years.
At what age did you first go to work at the factory?
I was 8.
Will you state the hours of your labor?
From 6 in the morning to 8 at night.
Will you state the effects of those long hours had upon the state of your health?
I was very much fatigued at night, so much so that I could have slept as I walked, had I not stumbled and started awake again. And so sick that I couldn't eat, and what I did eat, I vomited.
What work did you do?
I was a peacener.
Will you state to this committee whether peacening is a laborious employment for children?
It is very laborious employment. Peaceners are continually running to and fro and are on their feet the whole day. It is generally very difficult to keep up with the work.
State the conditions of latter parts of the day.
Towards the close of the day, when they came to be more fatigued, they cannot keep up with the work and are beaten to spur them on.
What were you beaten with?
A strap.
Anything else?
Yeah, a stick sometimes, and this kind of roller which goes on top of the machine.
What is the effects of piercing upon the hands?
It makes them bleed. The skin is completely rubbed off, and in that case, you can bleed in like a dozen points.
You take your food to the mill?
Yes, it was frequently covered by fleas from the wool, and at that case, they need to be blown away with the mouth or picked off with the fingers before they could be eaten.
In the end, industrialization was able to occur in Britain because they had all the factors of production. This included land, labor, and wealth. Britain had many natural resources, such as rivers for water power and transportation. The expanding economy also helped to support the industrialization. On top of this, entrepreneurs, businessmen invested in new inventions, and banking systems were highly developed. This provided that capital that Britain needed. Finally, farmers moved into the city, served the laborers needed in new factories. With all or any of these factors, Britain would not be able to industrialize.
During this time, Great Britain began to feel the effects of rapid industrialization. Coal dust filled the air and textile dyes filled rivers. People were forced to live on dirty, waste-filled streets. Despite this, industrialization also had many positive effects. The revolution led people to have healthier diets, better housing, and more easily attainable clothing.
Also, as a result of bad working conditions, worker unions were formed in acts such as the Factory Act of 1819 won higher wages, shorter hours, and better conditions for future workers. New inventions made such as the spinning mule and the power loom led to better and faster industrialization in Great Britain, as well as in other countries such as the US that revolution spread to.
At the same time, suburb sizes began to grow as many people fled the overcrowded cities. Social classes and status also began to change. The middle class, made of skilled workers and businessmen, had begun to grow very quickly. In the past, landowners and aristocrats held the highest status. The middle class began to grow wealthier than them.
Now, an upper middle class of doctors and managers and a lower class of skilled workers had formed. Meanwhile, many members of the working class formed groups such as the Luddites in the early 1800s who were upset because new machinery was replacing them, and they had poor living and working conditions. Overall, rapid industrialization throughout cities and farms made Great Britain the place it is today, and helped many other countries do the same. From new farming methods to the formation of the spinning jenny, new inventions have played an important role in forming Britain's modern world.
Scene one, take 1, 2! Why are you walking? Wait. Camryn! Walking already. Sounds good. Are you okay? Take 8! Mark.
You skipped 6 and 7.
Okay, wait, let's try. Okay. Okay.
Violin Seema. Go upstairs. Don't you move. Sit down. Jeffrey. Você quer pegar seu tablet? Senta direito. direito, depois dá um tapa nessa bunda.